Of getting fertilizers into rural areas is very important by developing good infrastructure, and then I think investment up front to get those phosphorus reserves into the country sooner than later makes sense. The final thing is, I think, efficient recycling. If we can reduce phosphorus losses by more efficient recycling of the phosphorus we do have, is another pathway.
Though fertilizer may be the best option for now, there are age-old practices that can be used to slowly fix this problem.
One of them, like I mentioned earlier on, is fallowing, moving from one place to another when the land becomes depleted. The other one is the use of legumes. Legumes are able to fix nitrogen from the atmosphere freely. What needs to be done is to enhance that process in our soils. The soil pH, what we call the soil acidity, needs to be good, to be neutral, and that's why we recommend liming. We can also use manures and thereby help the legumes to actually bring nitrogen into the land.
According to Shifad, the delay in relaying proper farming technologies and access to information by farmers continues to be a main reason why soils in sub-Saharan Africa are depleted.
There's uncertainty in the response to fertilizers, which makes it difficult for African farmers to adopt fertilizers because they're very expensive and they can apply them and then become disappointed with the outcome. This is due to the high variability of the mineralogy of African soils, and this is why we need to provide information services to farmers that are very site-specific so that we can advise them what kind of fertilizers they need to apply in a given setting so that they have a much higher chance of getting a response and avoid failures.
He says that it's a pity that great researches done in Africa are picked up faster by Western worlds.
Well, a lot of these ideas and technologies we put together here in Africa, and they're beginning to be taken up widely now in other parts of the world. They are being taken up here in Kenya, in the sense we've installed this kind of technology in 5 different countries in Africa. But there's a need for a lot more capacity building. We need a lot more young scientists to acquire these skills. This kind of technology has taken away the kind of skills of dealing with chemistry on the laboratory bench to more quantitative skills, quantitative analytical skills, mathematical skills. So we need to have a whole new generation of young scientists who can learn about these new tools and take them forward at a rapid rate so that the countries can benefit from them.
It could be time that African governments moved faster in the uptake of technologies as well as investing in the technologies.
The way to go is to throw all our latest science and technology for better targeting these scarce resources, to provide farmers and fertilizer companies and policymakers with better information on these problems and the options for tackling them. And with action on all these fronts, then I think rapid progress could be made.
The deposits that are there in the world, they can be, it's not a renewable resource. So as they are continually mined, they may run out. And that time that has been given, it may be there. But then we also have locally, like just in our next door neighborhood, in Tanzania, they have large deposits of what we call Mijingo rock phosphate. And that's what the Kenya government now wants to utilize together with East African nations. And they start making a factory where actually they can produce.
One way of replenishing the soil's phosphates could be recycling human waste, but only if done safely. But this again contributes only a little percentage, which cannot fix the problem.
Well, if a farmer can get information on the state of his soils, whether they're likely to be deficient in phosphorus, then applying small amounts of phosphorus to high-value crops is a good way to go. And then with time he can build up the phosphorus levels in his soil. Applying high-quality manures can help, particularly if those manures come from livestock which have been fed well with feeds, high-quality feeds that are higher in phosphorus, and with also cattle feeds and salt licks and so on that contain phosphorus. and that way they can increase the phosphorus input back into their soils. But growing high-value crops with phosphorus inputs, particularly the right kind of phosphorus fertilizers for their soils, is the way to go.
But this can be turned around. Malawi was a food deficit country in 2004, but a year later, the country experienced bumper yields with maize harvests reaching almost 120% of the national requirement, an equivalent of over 2.4 trillion Kenya shillings at the current rate. For the farmers, emphasis has been put on proper record keeping as well as use of organic fertilizer instead of the expensive inorganic ones. For now, governments can come in and help farmers import fertilizers high in phosphorus. In the 20th century, the three nutrients enabled agriculture to increase its productivity and the world's population to grow more than sixfold. But what's their source? We obtain nitrogen from the air. But we must mine phosphorus, whose readily available global supplies may start running out by the end of this century. By then, global population may have reached a peak that some say is beyond what the planet can sustainably feed. For now, governments in Africa need to help farmers acquire this necessary soil component, phosphorus. Thanks for watching Mazingira 24. Now, if you'd like us to come and highlight your story, both positive or negative, in agriculture, environment, or from the innovation world, do SMS us on 2101 starting with the word Mazingira. You may also email us on mazingira@mediamax.co.ke. Reporting for Mazingira 24, I'm Violet Otindo.
Mazingira 24, brought to you by KCB Foundation.